I danced with my high school ex at a wedding, and now my wife wants a divorce. My wife, 28, F and I, 29M, have been married for 2 years. Now I love my wife. We have had a great relationship so far. All in all, I couldn't be happier. Last year, my wife and I were invited to her best friend's wedding. It was a pretty luxurious wedding, with dances, feasts, drinks, grandeur. You get the gist. During one of the dances, when my wife and I were sitting at the side, a random man asked my wife for a dance. Now, this guy was an objectively good-looking dude, and my wife appeared flustered when he asked her for a dance. She looked over at me, and I told her to go ahead. Why not? We were all having fun. There's no harm in my wife having fun, too. It wouldn't hurt me. Except it did hurt me internally. I'm not the type to be normally bothered by such trivial matters, but in this instance it did, but I tried not to outwardly show it. My wife and this guy were clearly enjoying themselves. I could see my wife was still flustered when they were dancing. I'd never seen her blush this much in a long time. I mean, I get it. This guy was objectively good-looking, and my feelings were irrational. Well, anyways, over the following days, my wife sensed that I was not myself, and she apologized for the incident. I told her she had nothing to apologize about, and that was the end of that. We still loved each other. And I realized I probably had to internally work through my own insecurities, which I did. And I was back to normal in a couple of days. Well, fast forward a year, and my wife and I were now invited to my best friend's wedding. This was my best friend from high school, and I expected I'd see some of my old high school mates. The wedding was a blast. I caught up with a lot of my high school friends, including my ex from high school. I'm not going to lie, she looked stunning. I danced with my high school ex at a wedding, and now my wife wants a divorce. Update. During the dances, I asked my wife if I could dance with my ex, and she gave me the go-ahead. Well, I asked my ex for a dance, she agreed, and we danced. She complimented me a lot physically, which made me feel things. I complimented her too. There was a lot of close physical contact, especially during the slow dances, which was probably inappropriate, but at that moment, I was justifying it internally because of my wife's dance last year. Well, we danced for quite some time, and I finally called it off when it went way too overboard. My ex wanted to continue on, but I somehow found restraint to stop it. By that time, I think the damage had been done, and my wife wanted to go home. We left home early, and my wife straight up cried when we reached home. This hurt me a lot, and she's never hidden her emotions from me, and I apologized. She told me I had no reason to apologize, but I told her I did because what I did was completely inappropriate. I've been making it up to her the past week by taking her out on dates. She cried some days, and I comforted her. I think we're finally back to normal now. I read the comments from my last post. I am the bad person. I get it. I hurt my wife massively. I was also a bit drunk. It doesn't excuse what I did that day, but I lost some inhibitions. Looking back, what I did that day was far worse than what I typed in my original post. I was completely inappropriate with her. I'm going to start looking for therapy to work through my insecurity issues. I would like to somehow erase that day from memory. I just don't know what got over me that day. I would never do that in a million years. My ex and I exchanged numbers that day, but I have now cut off all contact from my ex and blocked her.